Before this episode begins, a short description of this growing up in Irish Boston in the 1940s podcast. Episode 14, Pond in the City. When I was about 8 years old, I found a piece of quiet paradise right in the congested city of Boston. It was in the Allston neighborhood, and it was a tiny pond amid what was really a swamp. It would now be called wetlands. This spot was just over the River Street Bridge from my Cambridge neighborhood. It lies underneath what are now the Genzyme Biotech plant and the Western Avenue, Massachusetts Turnpike interchange. This swamp extended west from Allston's Cambridge Street to Western Ave along the Charles River and a little south of Union Square. One current tenant of this filled-in wetlands is WGBH TV, Boston's PBS, the quintessential environmentally correct entity. Did they know they were building on filled-in wetlands? That's probably the only model sin left for Boston's champagne socialists. I lived in a crowded 5-room, second floor Cambridge walk-up with 6 other kids and a mother and father. As a boy, I spent more than half my time away from that flat, going to school, going to church, exploring, or playing outside with friends. Pondering the difference between then and now is amazing. Today, in my Southbridge, Massachusetts Victorian, I have 12 rooms, 3 bathrooms, and 1 tenant, me. I have a private office, my own private bathroom, and a dressing area, plus grounds to walk about. I also own a commercial warehouse with another private office. But in 1948, growing up in a crowded 3-decker in Boston, there was no privacy, no escape from the hubbub and the noise. All of us, even redheaded, freckle-faced, raggedy, dirty Hibernian kids, need to get away sometimes. It was a snap for me to get to my escape estate. Just over the Charles River was my other world. But I needed to go through a truck-worn, trashy, scrub-filled gravel path, and I had to go by many industrial buildings built helter-skelter. I knew about the area because one of those industries was my favorite worm-digging place, the coffee grounds behind the Plymouth Rock Gelatin Company. Tons of coffee jello must have been manufactured at that plant because that mound of old coffee grounds was always piled high and was full of small, healthy, fish-attracting, coffee-tainted red worms. The dirt path behind the industrial buildings meandered and became almost invisible. It was more overgrown with thorny bushes and trees, straggly trees, the deeper one went in. From the outside, you would not know there was a small pond in that dense, bushy, and wet area, but there was, as others had found before me. There were old, discarded, waterlogged, half-assed rafts. There were fallen down trees, scrap wood, old Coca-Cola boxes, soggy cardboard, wet, discarded carpets, and various hunks of greasy scrap iron. It was everyday urban debris, and it made the whole place fascinating to me. That was a great treasure trove. Amongst that brer-rabbit bramble were large, thorny, wild blackberry bushes, full of August blackberries, fat, juicy, and delicious. Those tasty, abundant berries made me a lifetime lover of wild blackberries. I think the cultivated versions are tasteless and designed for looks, not taste. I'm not a gardening fan, but one exception is that today, 70 years later, on my commercial property, there are several thorny wild blackberry bushes that I keep pruned and fertilized. I love the summer fruit that they bear. Are we not the sum of our experiences? But the best part of that pond in the city was the rafting. When I first started going there, well, other than worming, I was accompanied by 2 pals from the neighborhood, George Daniels and Mickey Mickle. We decided to take 2 of the old beat-up rafts and make them into one seaworthy raft. Mickey got some nails and a saw and a hammer from home, and using some of the scrap wood laying around and cutting off the water-rotted pieces, we made a relatively solid raft that held the 3 of us. We put on a piece of discarded canvas on one end as a sail, and then added a little roof with open sides onto the raft. Without a bottle of wine, we pushed it into our pond, thereby commissioning our own navy. When we were sailing and poling around the pond, we would pretend we were Robinson Crusoe or the U.S. Navy in World War II in the Pacific. This fun was often accompanied with wooden sword fights and many dunkings into the shallow depth. It was great fun. And while the others got bored with it, I never did. I often went back to my own pond in the city to raft, explore, pick blackberries, or mostly just get away. Thank you for viewing or listening to my podcast episode. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, and if you so choose, I ask you to send a good review and perhaps refer friends who might be interested in this podcast series. Again, my thanks.